Alright, hello and welcome to the eVenture Family channel. Today we're going to be heading out in our Chevy Equinox EV and we are going to be talking about our favorite things that we like most about it and the things that are starting to drive us a little bit crazy about it, or just the little ones that we wish Chevy would improve in the upcoming model years. But overall, I think Chevy's got a big EV hit on their hands here, as is evident by all of the interest that we've already had on the channel here about our Equinox EV. So anyway, come along with us and let's go for an adventure.
That's right.
Today we are all loaded up here in our Chevy Equinox EV. We are heading down, as we do what feels like every single day of every weekend in the fall, for a set of hockey games, or a hockey game. And we've got about an hour drive, so it's kind of like the perfect amount of road tripping time in the Equinox here. And we wanted to talk a little bit about some of the things that we like. And actually, since we've covered so many of the things that we like already in our reviews, today we're going to talk a little bit more about the things that are starting to annoy us or just wish that could be done better in the Equinox here. So we've got our list of top 5 things about the Equinox EV that bug us a little bit. All right, so why don't you start off here with your things now that you've been driving this car. So we've had this about 2 months now, and we have just over 2,000 miles on it, but you've probably put more mileage-wise onto this, even if the time is about the same.
Do you know the tricycle slow?
Just because, thanks.
You're welcome.
Just because you have taken it a few times now for commuting to your office, right?
Yeah.
And I've mostly done this either the very short drive to the train station, or now a couple of times I've taken them to hockey games down south in Jersey. But you've spent more commuting miles in it. Okay, so what are your things that have been bugging you the most about it in your time in here? I have a feeling I know the first one with all of them jammed in here.
Well, I'm usually in the car by myself driving, so that doesn't... Their proximity is just something we knew was going to happen in this car. They're in no particular order. They're just kind of as the ones that come to mind. But I think my biggest one, that's a giant pet peeve, is why do all the doors need to be closed before I can open a window or close a window? And I don't know if we have, like, I just haven't discovered the setting, but especially like when it's super hot out, because I don't have the app installed to like set the temperature beforehand. Yeah. Because you can't do anything with the app. You still need the key. So like I like to open the door and get a window open so air starts circulating. You can't do that unless you're in the car and you have shut all the doors, and then it'll let you open the windows.
It's like a power, like the car defines its power on state basically by when you are the doors being shut and you being sitting in the driver's seat. So there's a bunch of stuff you can't do until it's like in that mode. So you also can't just like open the door and, you know, from like leaning outside change controls and stuff, because the car is not on at that point. So I do like that it doesn't have an on-off button, but there's still like some weird kind of legacy non-EV manufacturer brain going on there where it doesn't think that the car is on like until you're, you know, like in a separate mode basically. Whereas like with Tesla and Rivian, the second you open the door, the car is like on. It's basically, you know, it never really like goes fully off. Yeah. And so you're able to like do stuff then. But yeah, definitely.
So that's incredibly irritating, and it's also irritating if you forget to close a window and you just want to open the door and like shut the window real fast. You have to open the door, get in the car, close the door, and then you could shut the windows. Yeah.
Just on the windows, I know that this is like a cost savings thing, I guess, but I can't imagine how this actually increased costs at all in any meaningful way. But I don't like that the windows are auto down but not up. So like,
that was going to be my next thing.
Oh, okay. That you have to click them down and all the way down, but then to pull them back up, you have to sit here and hold them, which is especially a pain because it's all 3 non-driver windows. So you have to do like weird finger gymnastics to basically get all the windows closing. Yep.
So that's going to be my next thing, that the windows are not auto up. Because you don't realize that, and sometimes like I still out of habit from other cars just hit the window and it's like, oh, it hasn't done anything. And then usually I'm doing that while someone's yelling at me for something else, so it really, that's another one that makes me a little bit crazy in this car. I think those are my two biggest pet peeves actually.
Well, one for me that you made me think of is just the lack of like a decent app. There is an app.
Yeah.
And you can see stuff, but it is so slow and unresponsive that it is kind of useless. When you open it up, it has to refresh the state from the car and like communicate with it. It always takes a solid 30 to 60 seconds for it to like ping it and get the latest state of charge. And if you're charging the car, you can't see like in real time exactly what state of charge it's at. So like just now, I realized I'd forgotten to charge it overnight, and was like checking in the app to see, and I had to just go out to the car to go look at it because it was just so slow for the app to do it. And then again, you have to like turn the car on first before you send it any controls, which is a weird one. And then the only things you can control are like the climate being on and off. You can't like vent or close the windows or anything like that, so that's kind of a pain. Oh, and on the windows too, I wish that, I guess the Rivian doesn't either. The Tesla's the only one that seems to have this right, where if you have the windows down and you leave the car and it locks, it closes the windows. The Equinox does not do that, and the Rivian doesn't do that either.
The Rivian doesn't do that.
A pain. Like,
but
just
I feel like Arlo, sit up, please. It's not safe. The Rivian, I feel like, can get there because it's a software thing. But to your with the app, that's where you notice the biggest difference between pure EV automakers and ICE vehicles converting to EV. They're not realizing that the tech is such a big part of it, and that they need to also develop that. They're just developing EV vehicles without the tech. Mm-hmm. Because if you think about it, right, a traditional GM driver that's had an ICE vehicle is going to be older in age and can't even... Can you imagine my parents operating a vehicle that's just an app?
Yeah. I wish,
but there needs to be a better middle ground.
Well, it's just like they're stuck kind of in a weird middle ground where you can tell the app was designed when they first started adding like smart features to ICE vehicles, but like with power on and being able to set your climate and stuff. But like they haven't rethought it with EVs.
Correct.
And then
I had one other one just now and I forgot it.
Lack of a phone as a key is another big one for me. Like it's annoying having to always remember keys, and then you keep leaving your keys in here, so the car never like closes and locks. And anytime I want to come out here just to like check if it's charged or not, because I can't rely on the app, I need to grab the key with me and then come out, and I always forget to do it, so it involves 2 trips.
I had another one and I forgot. Oh, I mean, we've had to disable it now. The auto open on the trunk was absurd because you couldn't, like, I felt like I had to run, like, fire drill style around the car before it would open. Mm-hmm. The amount of times the trunk opened because I walked by too slowly that I then had to get back out of the car to close it. So
it's the proximity sensor. It's hands-free opening of the trunk. If you have the key in your pocket, if you're close enough to the back of the trunk, and you stand there waiting, it opens for you. But we found that even if you're not like right next to the trunk, if you're just kind of walking past it, if you go slow enough, that is long enough for it to trigger, and it'll just open and like whack into you in the garage. The other setting I had to change was you had to be sitting in the seat and have your seatbelt on before you could shift gears, go into reverse, which I get it from a safety standpoint. Like I didn't even want to disable that setting because it did seem like a beneficial thing, for safety. But there's just too many times where that additional time that it took was such a pain, or like where you're just trying to move the car from like one spot to another, or you're like repositioning
or you're just backing out of the garage and want to like start backing out before while you're putting your seatbelt on. Like the amount of
it's too slow.
It was one of those things that it was just inconvenient enough that it was like it just made me crazy.
Yeah.
This is a silly one. Why was it so difficult to find the Bluetooth button on this car?
I don't know, it's just a weird symbol. I don't understand. It's a weird symbol. I don't understand why it's not just like the Bluetooth logo, like every other place that you would ever have the Bluetooth setting.
And you couldn't get to it from the audio setting, because I went to audio and Bluetooth isn't listed in there, but you can back out of Bluetooth into audio.
Yeah, there's some weird UI stuff in the audio stuff I found. Like, I really like the software overall in here. Google Maps for navigation is great, and the fact that like it knows about your state of charge and everything and can predict what it's going to be on arrival, and it seems to be very accurate, is great. And then like from a media playback standpoint, having the Android automotive app store, where you have like pretty much every audio app except for Apple Music, which is Apple's fault, is awesome. And then I also really love having Sirius XM in here as well, and but like there's just some weird UI stuff where like when you're switching between all of them, it kind of, I don't know, it always feels like it's one more button or like one more click than it needs to be to go between stuff, and to get to like Bluetooth, it's like 3 more than it should be. My other big one is the lack of profiles. So there are driver profiles in here, but they're only tied to your account in media apps.
Yeah.
So like
it's
it'll
only tied to your Google, so that you could find like your last search map thing.
Yeah.
Which I realize I need to activate because I'm typing in my work address every time I'm going.
Okay. Yeah, but you would think it would just remember that, but okay. But yeah, it has nothing to do with like the settings or seat positions or anything. And I think in the 3RS it does have memory positions for the seats, but in the 2RS, which is a nearly, this car's almost what, $60,000 on sticker? Was it 50?
50, mid-50s.
Mid-50s, okay, sure. But still, the fact that it like doesn't have memory positions for the seats is crazy to me, and such a pain. Like every time I come in here, I'm readjusting and I can never get it back to where I feel like I'm comfortable again.
Same.
And it's just, I don't know, that seems like it would not be the most difficult thing in the world to add and to have at this trim level. So I think in 2025, they are actually like, they've gotten rid of the 1, 2, and 3 trim levels, and like you basically just have options for stuff. So it would probably be a easier thing to get in, but that definitely is a miss to me.
Oh, and I need to figure out how to turn the automatic heated seat thing.
Oh, back off, yeah.
Back off.
Yeah,
because it's a little much.
Yeah.
I don't need to get to like, it heats up so fast, and it's...
Mm-hmm. The other thing, of course, is the amount of space in here. Now, for this size vehicle and the cost and everything, actually it's fine. I feel like this is more roomy than the Model Y was.
Yeah.
Both in terms of like passenger space and definitely cargo space. The lack of a frunk doesn't help, but the trunk space is better in here. We can fit 2 sets of hockey equipment, no problem back there. We've gone with skis and stuff, and that hasn't been a problem. But
then now you have the roof racks too, so it's not a problem. The frunk would be nice.
Yeah.
Just because the trunk is like in a hatchback trunk, so it's so super flat and everything rolls around. So like, it'd be nice for like when I run groceries to just be able.
But
it is what it is.
This compared to the Rivian, they are just on top of each other and fighting all the time.
But even in the Rivian, they're on top of each other and fighting all the time now.
That's true. Yeah.
So it's them. It's not the car.
That's true. Now, with those being all of the things that we don't like in here, I really do enjoy this car overall. Right now we're on Super Cruise, and it is phenomenal. It's the best driver assistance system that I have used, for sure. The Rivian one is actually like now that we have this one and I'm comparing them day to day against each other, the Rivian one is not great. Like it really struggles to do anything other than just like keeping you dead set in the lane. It does not allow you to like move at all, and there are times where I feel like it's really pretty much on the line, and I want to like scooch over a little bit because we're like too close to a truck or something, and it doesn't let you do that without just like totally disengaging. And I feel like it more and more just like disengages in weird places.
I don't think it doesn't. It definitely doesn't like lane shifts. Like if there's construction or whatever.
Oh yeah.
Although we haven't seen how this reacts to construction.
This is I mean, we'll see it on the drive, but overall it's fine. And I like that it is more like like you don't even need to have your hand on the wheel at all, but because it can sense that you're looking at the road. But you can like I can move the car around in the lane here if I want to avoid something, or if I feel like we're too close to something. And it is like, and it just deals with that, and it's very smooth and works with you on that, which I really like. So I've been very happy with that, and the driving and everything is quite nice here too. I feel very comfortable in this car. It can be like a little bit harsh in the suspension, and I feel like that again is just comparing it with the Rivian that's got air suspension, but and this obviously doesn't. But
I wish I sat a little bit higher. Like, do you ever?
Oh, I like being super down low.
Yeah, but like, I don't know. I feel like I don't have a good perception of how far the front goes in this car.
Yeah. It is a little bit hard to see like the very front of the hood. Yes, I do have that problem too. But overall, I think it's a very comfortable ride in here too. And we haven't gone super far yet in this, but for an hour or more, I'm not at all uncomfortable in here.
I don't think I have any other qualms about this car.
Are there things now that you are enjoying more than you thought you would, that you're spending more time in
I like having this, like, Sirius.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, Sirius has been my favorite part about it too. Especially, and the one nice thing about not having separate profiles is that the settings that you're saving are tied to mine. I'm the kind of, like, I will pick one station and I'll just leave it on it for years. You like hunt through them and stuff, so it's been good to like discover some different stations that I don't otherwise listen to. But I think like when we had the Buick, we had Sirius on there for 2 or 3 years. I never listened to a station other than Alt Nation. Here I'm getting a little taste of some other ones.
And plus, I think since you're paying for it, we got so many more channels than we did when we used to just have the demo. Yeah.
I think we have it for another... The initial trial doesn't expire until this month, and then I think we have a year beyond that too. I was going to say the voice stuff in here I think is better with Google than it is with Alexa in the Rivian. A little more responsive.
I won't be able to search for Roku now. I can't type it in. No, because you're driving.
Oh, there's some stuff like that where it won't let you change settings when you're driving, which is a little bit annoying. I still do wish this had a little better performance as well. It's not bad, but and this is the all-wheel drive version. The front-wheel drive, I think, would have been kind of unacceptable. But they're just sometimes like when you're trying to accelerate quickly, where you wish it had, an extra 50 to 100 horsepower, at least compared to the other EVs. I do also wish that it had Apple Music, but like I said, that's Apple's fault for not publishing it on the Android Automotive Store.
If we had Apple Music, we wouldn't do Sirius in here then.
Yeah, true. Well, we have the YouTube one, which we still have for like a few more months. So I use that one periodically, but I find like this with Sirius, I tend to go to that. It's easier, and you don't have to like think about what you want to listen to. I'm still not used to the steering wheel controls in this car. Oh yeah.
There's like...
I have to go hunting for the volume all the time.
Yes.
Like there's something weird about it. I don't have the muscle memory to like do the back of the steering wheel trigger buttons for the volume.
And also like you have to shift for the stations and then push to confirm that that's the one you want to switch to.
Oh, I never use that. Yeah. There's like now that I'm looking at the steering wheel, like there's weird stuff on here too, like the voice assistant button here. Like I don't know why you would ever need to use that, because you can just say, "Hey, G,"
yeah,
and it works, right? So like there's just stuff here that is carryover from the other vehicles also.
How much of them is going to be on this video? Huh?
A lot. All right, well, I think those are all of the things here, unless you have any others that you're thinking of.
I can't think of anything else.
Oh, okay. How has it been driving to work?
It's been good.
How does it work on the Garden State Parkway?
It's good. I personally, I prefer the Rivian on the Garden State just so I could see more.
Oh, really? Yeah, but it's so much bigger.
Because it's high, yeah.
Doesn't it feel like this is easier to navigate?
You're going to think I'm weird. This feels harder to keep in a lane for me for some reason, and I don't know if it's because I was driving the Rivian for so long before. I've gotten better with it, but the first couple of times I took it, I felt like I couldn't like stay in the lane.
Oh.
I don't know if it's because I couldn't see the front of it or like figure out. Oh, I have one more thing. The sensors on here for the proximity and the vibrating alert.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm going to hit something 20 times in a drive, and it's just because of the way the turn is or the way something is positioned or whatever.
Yeah.
It is ultra.
I wonder actually if there's a setting also, like so the seat will vibrate, and it vibrates on the side that something is happening. So when you're on Super Cruise, it's nice because it vibrates when it's going to do a lane change, so you know which way it's going to go, and like you can just check and make sure you're clear and cancel it if you need to. And then it also will vibrate if you have the turn signal on and there's somebody in your blind spot, which is good. But I have found, I think exactly what you're saying is like the sensitivity to that is too high.
Like
and
turning
so, like,
left on King Street in Madison to the
like
wide.
Light, right? Like you are turning and it's just buzzing at you nonstop. You're like, there's nothing there. Why? So like I kind of just have learned to ignore it now. But the problem is it's also right in your butt where your phone is, at least on the right side for me. And so I always think my phone is vibrating, and like it's just so distracting and all over the place.
And like it goes off and you're like, what? But yeah, that's the only other one. Like it's uber sensitive.
Yeah.
All right, can you imagine on the Garden State? Like that thing's going off all the time for me.
Yeah. Oh yes, I can imagine. Because everyone is going the same speed and trying to pass you, and not going fast enough somehow at the same time.
Yep.
Is the like acceleration good enough for you to get onto it? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And I guess you never have to charge it at work or anything. We're just charging it home all the time.
Yeah, I have to get to work at 6 a.m. in order for the charger to be open.
Oh, just...
There's a bunch of people in my actually my company that drive hybrids, plug-in hybrids. So they're always plugged in there. I'm like, what are you like doing?
Well, because they want to be on electric charge all the time and not use gas. It's actually probably, in a weird way, better, I guess, for them to be using that. Unless they should be charging at home and they're.
I'm sure they don't have chargers at home.
Probably. Nope.
Which is fine. But if I could never, the one time I needed a charge and the second charger is always broken, and the one charger, if you don't get there by 6:45, you're not getting it.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think that's all of our thoughts here on the Equinox a few months in. Let me know down in the comments. What do you think? What other things do you want? Oh, that's the other one. The glare. So ever since somebody pointed out this to me in the comments, I can't like unsee it now. There's something about either the design of it or the material or like the angle of the windshield that the glare in here is dreadful.
You needed someone to point that out to you? Look at it right now.
I just don't notice that stuff. So I wear polarized sunglasses in here all the time, which does help significantly. But yeah, if I take them off, I can't.
You can't see.
That's awful. You can barely see through the window. But we even just had the car washed, so granted they didn't do the best job and it's pretty smeary, but it was even worse before. But it is so distracting. You can just see every single like material and surface and everything reflected back in the windshield from the dashboard, and then like outside everything is just
exit 114. Sorry.
Everything outside is just reflecting too. It is bad to the degree that like you absolutely need sunglasses to be able to see out. And I would actually like recommend against getting a heads-up display in here, which is an option because you are always wearing sunglasses, so you can't actually see it with the sunglasses. But that is a big problem. I'm gonna have to like go through here and spend an hour just like getting super deep with a Windex to try to get this a little bit better. It feels unsafe almost. All right, well with that, let me know down in the comments below what other things, if you've got an Equinox EV, have you noticed that are driving you crazy? Or if you're interested in one and you have questions, let me know and we can cover those in a future one. And with that, thanks so much for watching. We'll see you out there for another electric adventure soon.